I think just, some of the events that I've been to over the years have been just incredible. I mean, just in terms of what you're eating, where you're eating it, the environment you're in, just people really, really pushing boundaries. But not only that, also some of the more classic events where the food's just fantastic and you're just like, this is here in Wellington. I mean, you could be anywhere.
Hello and welcome. I'm Olivia Cross from Wellington Live, and today I'm joined by the CEO of the Wellington Culinary Events Trust and the Festival Director of Wellington On A Plate, Sarah Meikle. How are you doing today?
I'm really well, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Of course. So tell me a little bit about how Wellington On A Plate first came to be.
Back in 2009, I was working at the then regional tourism organisation for Wellington. It was called Positively Wellington Tourism, and I'd always thought, they gave me the challenge, a few challenges, and one of them was to help fix August, because August was a really quiet month of the year in Wellington in those days for visitors particularly. And so I'd grown up in a hospitality family, but having lived overseas and kind of seen, I suppose, the rise of food TV and food festivals, I thought, gosh, why doesn't Wellington have a food festival? We've got so many great restaurants. And had a chat to a colleague of mine. We kind of just dreamt up this idea, and it was called Wellington On A Plate, and I think from the first year that we started it, we had about 6 weeks from start to finish to organise it. It was pretty small in the first year. It was around about 35 restaurants and about 12 events. But we really quickly realised we had built a monster, or created a monster, shall I say, and it became very, very popular very quickly. And it was great because initially it was all about getting Wellingtonians off the couch in the middle of winter, getting them out into restaurants. But since then, of course, it's grown, and now it attracts lots of people to Wellington at a time of year that you probably wouldn't necessarily think about Wellington as a destination, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. And so tell me about the coolest thing that you've seen come out of Wellington On A Plate.
So many cool things.
Yeah.
I'm just so lucky because I've seen the whole evolution of the festival. So I think for me what's been really cool is it's given restaurants the opportunity to try things that they wouldn't necessarily normally try, and also take a few risks around some of their events in particular. So, in the early days you saw things like blind dining and stuff, but I suppose more latterly, let's forget about COVID for a little while, but before COVID, we were starting to see some really cool things like bringing international chefs into Wellington, which might seem more very glamorous, but actually the huge opportunity that has created for chefs here who've hosted them really helps them in terms of raising the bar of what's on offer in Wellington. I suppose seeing the astronomical growth of Garage Project Presents Burger Wellington, when we came up with that idea, I don't think anyone in their wildest dreams could have imagined how successful it's become. And I think just, some of the events that I've been to over the years have been just incredible. I mean, just in terms of what you're eating, where you're eating it, the environment you're in, just people really, really pushing boundaries. But not only that, also some of the more classic events where the food's just fantastic and you're just like, this is here in Wellington. I mean, you could be anywhere.
Yeah, definitely. So this year's theme is a state of flux. Tell me a little bit about the meaning behind that, what that means.
Well, I think most people know when you say, oh, I'm in a state of flux, you kind of know you mean you're kind of in a, where am I? I'm undecided about things. I'm neither here nor there. And I think for a lot of us, that's how we feel right now. We're all in a bit of a state of flux. We've come out of these couple of years of just crazy life and kind of not knowing, are we locked up today? Aren't we locked up today? And I think for the industry, they feel a bit the same. They're really in a state of flux. So we felt that was a really good theme to try and emulate through the theme of the festival, and in particular, translate that into events and programming and dine dishes, etc. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how people react. But it's great. It just means it gives people a bit of a creative starting point when they're thinking of ideas for events, in particular.
So obviously Wellington On A Plate, it's entering its 14th year now, I believe. How do you keep it fresh and exciting every year and make it interesting?
Well, can I firstly say it's not just me. I've got a team of people, which is fantastic. Yeah. But look, the freshness and the excitingness of the festival really comes down to the industry. And I think, we've always been really forward in saying this is a festival for the industry, by the industry, and it's very much up to the hospitality and restaurant sector to be the ones to lead the creative development of the festival. We give them some sort of parameters to go by and some criteria and give them a theme, for example, but ultimately it's up to them to really, come up with those ideas. But we also help and coach them through. They might have the seed of an idea, and then we can go away and help them sort of create something great out of that idea. We also partner as a major sponsor with Visa, and they have also helped, for example, with the introduction of the Visa Festival grant. So some events actually get given a financial leg up to help them create events that are really, really amazing that maybe they couldn't necessarily do all on their own. I think that's probably how we really keep it fresh, but it's also changing the theme every year, changing the brand of the festival every year so that it kind of stimulates people and keeps them interested. And also just finding out what it is that's trending around the world, like what's keeping people interested in food. Food changes just like art, just like all sorts of things. So it never stays the same. So the festival will never stay the same either.
Last year, the Best Dine was awarded to Bulcott Street Bistro.
Yes.
Did you try their dish?
I did.
And
yeah.
how was
And
it?
look, it was fluke. I don't always try the best dish because obviously it's voted on afterwards. It was delicious.
Yeah.
The element of kind of competitiveness is not always my favourite element of the festival. I'm a bit divided on whether it should be competitive or not, but it does keep it exciting for people. And I know that people do like being able to vote on things, and it certainly makes great stories, and I mean, hey, the people who win, they only win the glory.
Yeah.
And maybe a spatula on a plinth to say congratulations. But it's cool to see that you don't have to be the best restaurant in town to win one of the awards. You just have to be really good at what you do.
Yeah, definitely. It's very cool. Burgers, they're a big part of Wellington On A Plate.
Yeah.
Tell me your burger of choice.
Oh my gosh, I have had so many burgers over the years, as you can imagine. I couldn't even give you one favourite. I mean, to be honest, I've had so many incredible different burgers. I think probably the thing that I'm loving about the burgers is actually how creative people are now being with trying to differentiate their burgers, because a lot of people can make a damn good cheeseburger, but it's the kind of other burgers that are becoming more and more exciting. And so, last year we saw a power and caviar burger. I mean, we've had burgers, I remember having one year that had, oh my goodness, it was so rich. It was like duck and foie gras and gold, I think. Like it was, it was
Wow.
completely over the
Yeah.
top. We've had some really extreme things, like one year, the restaurant at Chameleon at Intercontinental did a burger, I think it was $350, and it did have gold in it, and it was Wagyu beef and all these amazing things, and you actually got to keep the knife that you cut. It was a beautiful knife. So yeah, I think people are really kind of doing quite extreme things, but as I say, there's also some excellent cheeseburgers. So I think the great thing about burger is it's the every person's food. No one should feel intimidated about getting a burger, and also you can be a suburban cafe or the best restaurant in town and you can do a burger. It's the great equalizer, and that's the best thing about it.
Very inclusive as well.
Absolutely.
And lots of creative ways to show, how cool a burger can be as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And lots of debate around what is a burger,
Yeah.
Like we do often, have, a lot of people take it very seriously, and every year we have, streams of people and blogs out there sort of suggesting, is that a burger? Because is that a bun? Blah, blah, and it's great. It really gets people debating about something that's fun and, just different from the everyday.
Yeah, just a bit lighthearted as well, something to brighten up this
Absolutely.
dull month.
Let's not take it too seriously.
Yeah, exactly. How big are we expecting it to be this year? How many bars and restaurants do you foresee participating?
Across the board, there'll be about 250 businesses involved across the region. So the festival encompasses all of the city, up through the suburbs, obviously up through the Hutt Valley, up to the Wairarapa on the eastern side, and then on the western side, right up to the top of Kapiti. So it's a really big catchment area. And obviously that number doesn't also encapsulate all of the producers and suppliers from around the region who get involved as well. So breweries, wineries, food producers and suppliers. There's a huge number of businesses that are involved, and that really is part of the impetus behind the festival. It's not just about great food experiences and great food, it's also about educating people about actually great food made in Wellington. So it's a really good way for us to tell those stories and for people to learn about what's made locally.
And what are you hoping to see them come up with this year?
Well, I've already had a chance to have a look at a few bits and pieces. Obviously, I always get the inside running, and I can say that I'm really excited about the festival event program. I think people have really thought hard about it. It's quite thoughtful, and I think considering the 2 years that we have just experienced, there's some really amazing ideas, and it really, for me, shows a progression in people's thinking, and I suppose there is definitely a feeling that we're coming out the other side.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. In terms of the dine and burger program, all I will say is I don't think people will be disappointed, and there are plenty of options for everybody. I think the dine program is probably one of the strongest I've seen. It's a real Wellington on a plate representation. And burgers, just trust me when I say you'll get what you want.
Yeah, lots to look forward to.
Lots of
so
things.
exciting.
Yeah.
And how do people keep up to date throughout the festival about what's going on?
Well, the best way to keep up to date is on our website, visawork.com, but obviously we're across every social channel I can think of. So, I suppose choose the way you want to connect with us. We also do a range of e-newsletters. But yeah, I think during the festival itself, the best way to get involved is probably follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook if you're on TikTok, and we really try and keep people up to date with new event releases. Sometimes people release a new date or something that's popular. You'll see obviously interaction from other people who are loving what's happening in the festival. Yeah, but certainly first and foremost is make sure that you are ready for tickets, so we've got a Visa pre-sale on the 13th of June. You need a Visa credit card for that for 2 days, and then the following Monday on the 20th of June is general release. And there are always tickets to every festival event available for everything. So yeah, if you miss out the first time round, have a go the next time round. Just enjoy August and have a ball.
Yeah, so exciting. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great chatting to you.
Absolute pleasure, thank you.
So Wellington on a Plate is beginning at the start of August, so get excited. There's going to be so much to go and see and so many great foods to try out this year. Thank you.